Record of Fugitives, June 1856, from the papers of Sidney Howard Gay. Read by Frank Blissett. June 4th. Peter Burr, alias George Johnson, slave of Benjamin Johnson Noel of U.S. Treasury Office, was hired to Edward Plummer, hotel keeper, Alexandria, King Street. Left in December last, guided by a free-colored man, Jason Baker. Peter told his master that he wished to go and see his mother in Culpeper County and asked for money, but got only an order on the store for $3, for which he took a shawl. This he gave to a man in Washington who found for him his brother. Louis Burr, slave of Edward Clark of Washington, brother-in-law of Noel, Peter's master, but was hired out to one Alman Green, auctioneer of Washington. After meeting in Washington, the two brothers made their way to Gettysburg, where they passed the winter. Louis has a wife and two children belonging to Colonel John Thomas of Berry Hill, Culpeper. A sister of theirs, belonging to Peter's master, was recently sold. Albany, $2.50. June 5th. David Lewis, now Johnson, of Leesburg, Virginia, was his master's, Joshua Pusey, only male slave. Had permission to take his master's horse to visit his mother. Hired a carriage and took in a woman, Emily Ann Mahoney, alias Ann Thomas, with her child, who is a white woman and acted as mistress. Drove to Harrisburg, where they left the horse and carriage. Charlie Bird, belonged to David Colgate of Cleggett, Maryland, started with his master's horse, but hired a carriage at Hagerstown. After driving about 30 miles, turned the horse loose and went on afoot to Chambersburg. At Frankstown he took up Jane Scott, a child of about 14 who ran away from her master, George Schaefer, because of bad treatment, and also Angelina Brown with her two children belonging to the same man. Her husband is a free man. Her brother, George Dorsey, was of the same party. There were also two other men who had a horse between them, who have not since been heard of. They all turned their horses free. Sent to Albany, $14.75. Anna Maria Morris, now called Eliza, was the slave formerly of Nicholas Lynch, but was sold at sheriff's sale to Albert Newton of St. George's, Delaware, a lumber merchant. She didn't like Mrs. Newton, she said. She was so queer. So she walked off on the 22nd of May to Wilmington and was forwarded by Thomas Garrett to Philadelphia. Josiah Rittenham, now called George Washington, of Eastern Shore, Maryland, belonged to the heirs of Peter Rittenham, formerly belonged to Ananias Powell, who gave him to Peter R. Was always promised by his master to be emancipated at his death, but believing that his heirs would not carry this intention into effect, ran away on the 24th. Ambrose Spencer, now Joshua Brown, belonged to Frederick Spence of Worcester County, Maryland, was given to him by his grandfather. Spence intended to sell him, and put him in jail at Christmas time, where he was kept 17 weeks. Was permitted to come on pretense of being sick, and remained out on the sick list 3 weeks before starting. Walked to Philadelphia, though his feet were badly frostbitten while in jail. Sent the 3 to Albany, $7. June 16th. Alfred Homan from John W. Anderson's Rockville, Maryland, went to Washington and gave a man, Beckett, $24, all he had, to take him to Pennsylvania. Was taken from one to another from Gettysburg, and by one of these good Samaritans was kept at work for a week and paid 17 cents per hour. Sent to Albany, $2. June 24th. Diana Bell, now Maria DeVan, from Mabel Simpson's of Frederick County, Maryland, was badly treated, $4. James Anderson, now David Snowden, from W. W. White's, firm of White & Company Dry Goods, Washington, D.C. His master bought a farm and wished James to go to work on it. Did not like to. His master, moreover, would not let him go to see his wife, whom he has not seen since Christmas, nor his children for nearly 2 years. So he ran away. Some white friends in Washington gave him money to hire Beckett to take him to Gettysburg, to Albany. That was Record of Fugitives, June 1856, from the papers of Sidney Howard Gay. Read by Frank Blissett.